Hello, everybody. This is a video for Algebra A and B. So we're going to be looking at our second lesson of week 2. So in our last lesson, we were talking about just the concept of substitution in math when it comes to algebra and how that works. And so now we're going to take a look at going back over how to solve systems using substitution. So the biggest thing that we need to be able to do is we're going to substitute a value in for a variable. That variable has to be by itself on one side of an equation. So if you look here, I have a few examples of what some of those might look like. So our first one, we have y is equal to 5. When we have that, you just have the y on the left and the 5 on the right. So we have a variable is equal to a value. So that's something we could use with substitution. Here in our second example with y, we have y equals 3x. That's fine as well. You could still do that, assuming that the x is the only other variable that you're working with. And then here we have x equals 3. That's an example of something you could use if you were trying to find what the y is equal to. And then our last example here that is also an okay thing to use with substitution with a system of equations is x is equal to 7y. Just having it be, if you're able to simplify it that far, then that is something you can use for substitution as well. So we're going to look at some pretty basic systems that you're solving by substitution on your second assignment for the week. I'm going to work through questions number 1 and number 6 with you. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and get moved over to that, and then we'll take a look at question number 1. Okay, you guys should still be able to hear me. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at question number 1 now. Question number 1 from your assignment was y equals negative 4/3 x plus 4, and x is equal to negative 3. So if you look here, x is equal to negative 3 is like one of those examples that I showed you on the notes page. If I'm able to simplify, or the equation starts this simple, we are able to use it with substitution. So what we'll do here is we'll take the number negative 3 and we will substitute that in for the x in the equation. Now, before I even do that, I want to point out to you that negative 4/3, the fraction, is being multiplied by x. So when I plug in negative 3, negative 4/3 and negative 3 will be multiplying times each other. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and write down what our first step is going to look like. All right, everyone, so this is what the first step would look like. This is the substitution step. So I've taken the value of negative 3 and I've replaced the x from the first equation with it. So now from here, we would work out the math on the right side of the equation in order to find out what y is equal to. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply negative 4/3 times negative 3, and then we will add 4 to that number. So if you're using like a TI-30 calculator, you could type all of this in one step. I'm going to go ahead and write it out for you in 2 steps. That way you guys can see the multiplication answer and then what the addition answer is. So when you multiply negative 4/3 times negative 3, your answer is a positive 4. So my first step after this is going to give me y is equal to 4 plus 4, which that's simple addition that you guys can do in your head. 4 plus 4 is equal to 8. So now we know that y is equal to 8. I'm writing on screen, so it's a little slower than usual, guys. Bear with me. All right, so we have y equals 8. Now, remember, when you're working with a system of equations, your answer is not simply y equals a number and x equals number. It's actually a coordinate pair. Remember that a coordinate pair is written as parentheses, x, comma, y, close parentheses. So my answer to this question is going to look like the following. Since I know that x is negative 3, and now I know y equals 8. I will have an answer of negative 3, the x listed first, comma, 8, close parentheses. So that would be my answer right here. All right, so I'm going to pause the video and get set up to do question number 6. Question number 6 is going to have a few more steps, so I'm going to go ahead and show that to you on the notes page. All right, I'll be back in a sec. Give me just a second, guys. Looks like I'm having some technical difficulties.